What's up, everyone? Welcome back here to the Megan Moves channel. Thanks so much, everyone, for tuning in tonight. We're here for another Disney topic live stream tonight, and I know that I am always looking forward to these live streams. I feel like I learn so much during them, and I enjoy partnering with other Disney YouTubers to learn a little bit more about Disney and share our love of Disney together. So tonight we're going to do a fun Disney topic. We're going to talk about Disney World versus Disneyland. So we're going to talk about everything you need to know between the two parks. We're going to talk about the similarities and the differences. So I'm super excited. I asked my friends, Mathew and Lauren from the Mathew and Lauren Vlogs channel to be with me tonight. So really excited to have you guys here. How are you guys doing tonight?
It's super exciting. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, no problem. I'm glad that you guys can be on and everything. And thanks to everyone who is here in the chat watching live or on the replay. Let us know in the chat if you are here. Go ahead and drop your name in there. And if at any point during this live stream, if you guys have any questions about Disney World, Disneyland, go ahead and feel free to add it into the chat and we will talk about your questions. So I'm excited because I know a lot of the viewers that I have here on my channel are Disney World goers or fans of Disney World and maybe don't know a lot about Disneyland like myself. So hopefully you guys can learn a lot tonight, and I'm excited to hear what Mathew and Lauren have to say. So we're going to go ahead and get on into it. But before we start, I want to learn a little bit more about our guests and introduce you guys. So Mathew and Lauren, could you tell us a little bit about yourselves, but also a little bit about your channel?
Yeah, so we are Mathew and Lauren. We're cast members out here in Anaheim area. We do a little bit of a bunch of different things. So you'll see when Disneyland is open, obviously you'll see a lot of vlogs from Disneyland from us. But honestly, lately we've been just showing a bunch of random adventures from wine tasting to cruises to pretty much anything. So it's kind of been a more of whatever we're doing that day is what you will see, and it kind of makes it fun.
Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah, no, I know life in California is probably a little bit interesting now, and I know everybody that's watching probably knows Disneyland is not currently open, but of course, whenever it reopens, we're going to be ready to go, and we're going to know all about the park and what we need to see and do whenever we get there.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, thanks for being here again, guys. Thanks everyone who's on the live stream. And I have a couple questions for you guys. I got some questions from my Instagram followers as well. But like I said, if anybody has any questions, go ahead and drop them in the chat. So to start, we're going to go ahead with one pretty obvious question, but we're going to talk about the locations of the two parks. So obviously, we kind of maybe know where the locations of the parks are, but for those who maybe don't know a ton about Disney World, could you guys talk about the locations of the two parks?
Yeah. No, for Disneyland. Yeah, so I'm
not confused. I was like, two parks. We're talking about both of them, and I was like, no, I can do Disneyland. Okay, never mind. Sorry about that. So Disneyland is in Anaheim, California. We're about an hour south of Los Angeles. So if anybody's coming to visit, usually you go into like LAX or you can go to Santa Ana Airport, and those are pretty, those are the closest ones. And so it's a little bit weird because we're in the middle of Anaheim, and Anaheim is a city. So we are not in like a Disney bubble like Walt Disney World is.
Exactly.
So you walk out of the park and then all of a sudden you're like on a main road and there's like cars everywhere and there's traffic and there's but yeah, so Disneyland has two main theme parks. We have Disneyland, and then we have like Disneyland Park, and then we have Disney California Adventure, which is kind of all themed to the wonderfulness that is California.
And the two parks is they're located literally about like 100 feet away from each other. So like you can exit one and jump into the other one, which is very cool.
Yeah. So. No, definitely. Yeah, I've seen that and everything. So I guess it's kind of like Universal. I don't know if you guys have ever been to Universal, but yeah. So that can be, I mean, obviously on here we could probably get into maybe a little bit of pros and cons of the two parks, but I know that for, having the two parks beside each other. If you get like a park hopper pass, if they have them later on, we'll talk about maybe ticket options, but
Yeah.
I could see how it could probably be pretty convenient being able to just hop from park to park rather than Disney World where you have to literally drive or, hop all around to get to where you want to be.
Yeah. It's very convenient because everything is really close. And so it makes it very convenient to like come in, because I know with Walt Disney World, we love it, but it's like with Walt Disney World, it's like you have to plan the entire day from like parking to getting in to and everything. Here it's like you can park and be in the park very quick.
Gotcha.
It's pretty nice.
Gotcha. No, that's awesome. Yeah, and that was another kind of question that I had, because I know a lot of people, whenever they fly into Disney World, they might be, taking an early flight and literally taking the Magical Express and coming over and starting their day or starting their trip the first day they get there. How easy is it to get to Disneyland from the airports that you would fly into? Is it an easy process, or how does that look?
Yeah, so it depends on which airport you fly into, because there's a lot of airports around us, because in Orlando, it's basically MCO is like the main one that you go to. Out here, we have LAX, which is kind of the most popular one just because there's so many flight options.
Okay.
And coming from there, actually coming from all the airports, it's about like a decent Uber Lyft ride out here. John Wayne is definitely the closest one. And it's like without traffic, maybe like 20-ish minutes, right around there. Oh, perfect. Yeah, they asked that.
Yeah, we got a question here about it, so that's perfect.
So John Wayne, it's about 20 minutes, maybe 30. It's very easy. And the John Wayne Airport I love because there's not a lot of traffic in there, and it's a very easy airport to navigate. The hard part is there's not a lot of flights that come in and out of there.
Gotcha.
So if needed, you might have to go to LAX, but John Wayne, if you can get a flight to John Wayne, it'll make your life so much nicer. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Especially like you said.
Yeah.
No, sorry. I was just going to say it's pretty closer than the other ones. But what were you going to say, Lauren?
I was gonna say, like, right now we don't have a we used to have like a Disneyland Express that was a bus that would come pick you up from the airport, drop you off, that type of thing. Right now we don't have that, so I think the best route is like an Uber. Ride share of any sorts. But
yeah.
Gotcha.
But once you get there, then you can walk everywhere, and you don't need any sort of you won't need a rental car during like the course of your stay at all. So.
Gotcha. Which sounds pretty, it might sound a little bit difficult to get to the park, but like you said, once you're there, you're literally there. You don't have to worry about, hopping all around and planning for the time that it takes to get from park to park. So that's pretty neat. That's awesome. I like that. Well, we have another question here from a viewer that I'll just throw this up really quick and we can get into it. So Mike here asks, why Disneyland doesn't use magic bands? Do you guys know anything about that?
I only have guesses as to why.
Yeah, and
Gotcha.
I don't know if it's going to come in the future or not, because the weird thing is too, like, because we have a lot of guesses as to why, but the weird thing is they've been putting up like the touch point towers for a lot of the like fast pass type things right now, but magic bands aren't here, unfortunately. Yeah,
I think that we're getting all of the technology that the magic bands have without having the physical magic bands. So I think soon it's definitely like in the work, like they are slowly making their way through it. But I think that we're just going to have all of those abilities just on your phone as opposed to having a magic band.
Gotcha. Yeah, and I think
I'm excited that it's finally getting here, because for a while it was very sad.
Yeah, and that's another thing I think later on in my list I was going to talk about is whether it was ticket options or whatnot, but that you guys use paper fast passes, correct? Or because you don't have, how does your fast pass system work?
Yeah, so they've started slowly phasing out the official paper ones, but it's kind of funny because when you scan it, because we still have like the physical machines that you can go up to and like scan, but it'll print out a little paper with a like reminder. So now it's linked up to your park ticket. But yeah, you can still get a little printout paper of it saying like, hey, come back at like 12:30. But yeah, that's the unique thing with our fast passes. You don't have to, like, I know with Walt Disney World, it's like you have to plan out your day like 6 months well, it's not 6 months, it's like 3, I think.
Oh, yeah, you get
Yeah.
like maybe 3 months in advance or something
Yeah, it's like
that.
3 months in advance. And yeah, so here we you don't have to plan out anything until the morning of. So you can basically walk in and be like, okay, everyone is going to Space Mountain. Cool, let's head over to like the Haunted Mansion. And you can just watch where everyone goes and try to choose the opposite route.
There are a lot of, like, pretty much all of our fast passes are all day of.
Yeah.
So anybody, it's kind of like first come, first served type thing.
Yeah. Which makes it fun. The only rule with ours though, because I know with Florida you can get the like 3 of them.
Mhm.
Ours you get 1 at a time. However, you can get your next one either 2 hours after you get like that fast pass, or when you use that fast pass, whichever comes first. So, like if it's like an instantaneous fast pass, because those sometimes happen, you can get one right after that, which is kind of cool.
Gotcha.
And there's no limit to how many you get, which is kind of cool too.
Hey, that's actually kind of awesome. I mean, I think there's, like I said, pros or cons to either one, but if you have like unlimited ones, that sounds kind of neat.
Yeah.
Someone like Buzz Lightyear over and over and over again.
Exactly, I know, right?
Buzz Lightyear tends to be the like instantaneous one every time we go, or like the most we'll have to wait is like maybe 5 minutes for it. But that's why, like, that's how I've gotten so good at it, and I always beat her on it. She may not want to agree, but like,
yeah, I love it. That's awesome. That's great. Well, that's perfect. No, thank you for the answers to those questions. We have another question from someone in the chat here, which transitions into another question that I had for you guys. But I know you guys talked about mainly the 2 main parks that Disneyland does have, but are there any other big parks? Lorna wants to know, are there any other big parks or attractions near Disneyland like Walt Disney World has?
Yeah, definitely. We are also a big, huge entertainment location.
Yeah.
So really close to us, we have Knott's Berry Farm, which is part of like Cedar Fair group. Is that what it's called?
Cedar Fair, and it's literally in the back door of Disneyland. It's like a 10-minute drive from.
Oh wow!
That one's super close. They have like nice, like roller coasters, somewhat like Disneyland type rides, that type of thing. We have Universal, which is like an hour away. We have
Legoland. If you go down south, about an hour south of us, we have Legoland San Diego, which is kind of in like North San Diego. And then if you go deep into San Diego, you'll hit SeaWorld San Diego. You'll also hit like, I guess the 2 zoos might be able to be counted as. I don't know if you want to count the San Diego Zoo. I count it because it's literally the best zoo in the entire like state, maybe nation. So, but yeah, we have a lot. If you want to go for a further drive, I think Six Flags. I think an hour and a half away, maybe 2. I don't know. I've only been at Six Flags like once, but there is a Six Flags Magic Mountain out here. But yeah, we're surrounded by a lot of theme parks, but also there's a lot to do around us. So even if you don't go to like Universal, you can also go to like the Hollywood Boulevard and like see all the tourist locations, which is very cool too.
Yeah, gotcha. So it does sound like there, like you said, is a lot to do. And I didn't even know that Knott's Berry Farm was a thing until I saw you guys posted a vlog about it and everything. So that's another place that I'd like to go if I get out there one day. That'd be really neat.
They have a lot more than berries, but their berries are delicious.
Yeah, it's such a cute little park too because it's so small. But their rides are like so incredible. Like they have bigger rides. Like they're not like if you are a roller coaster like thrill seeker, you'll probably find a lot of fun there.
Gotcha.
But it's such a cute little park. It's amazing.
Wow, that's cool. That's neat. Yeah. Well, yeah, like I said, if I ever get out there, it sounds like I'm going to have a lot to see and do. So I better plan a long trip out there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, no, that's great. That's awesome. Okay, let me see. Let me get, I was trying to take this comment away here. Okay, so then the next thing that I wanted to talk about on our list here, we talked about the number of parks that you guys have out there, but let's talk about the size of the parks and maybe how they compare to Disney World or just the size of them in general.
Yeah. Do you want to do this or do you want me to?
I can start off.
Okay.
So we are a lot smaller.
A lot smaller.
So Disneyland is our bigger park, I believe.
Yeah.
And Disneyland is very comparable to Magic Kingdom in like the type of like lands that there are, rides that there are, that type of thing. However, I've heard from people that after they walk around Disneyland, and then if they then go over to Walt Disney World and they walk around, they get really, really tired after walking around Magic Kingdom in comparison, just because like it's the same park, but it's not as spread out.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and like when it comes to size, to give you a little size comparison, we are a lot smaller with both of our parks, but you could fit, if you take both of our parks, you could fit like 99% of it inside of Hollywood Studios. So like we're a little bit like combined, we're a little bit bigger than that. If you included our hotels, the Downtown Disney District, those could basically all fit inside of Animal Kingdom. So we're very small, but we pack a lot inside of them. Like it's.
I feel like if you start at the back of Disneyland and like speed walk to the back of California Adventure, and you don't get stopped by like
the tourists.
Yeah, exactly. Then you could probably do that in about half an hour.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, like you said, because you guys are like in the city, or like you're near like a road. There's not a ton of land like the Disney bubble, like you said. So definitely when they're planning like rides or how to use the area, they kind of had to maximize their space, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a big thing. Like everything is being used. Like there's like if you look at like a small little corner, you're like, there's nothing over there. That's just trees. You're like, nope, that's the back of Fantasmic. Like it's crazy. Everything's used.
It's a giant like Tetris game that the Imagineers play out here, and whenever they're constantly adding things, because we're adding so many new things right now, it's literally just trying to like find a way to like wiggle it in, and it's just. But I think the thing that always impresses me is like there's a freeway that runs like right behind Disneyland, but when you're in there, you can't see it, you can't hear it, you don't even know it's there until you're like leaving. You're like, oh, there's Disneyland as we're leaving. Like it's crazy.
That is crazy. Yeah, that would be just such a different feel for me, I think, just because it's Disney World seems, I guess, so secluded, you're just kind of, you're there, but then it would just probably be a different feel at Disneyland, I guess.
Yeah. You make a good point though. Like, I mean, like once you're in Burn, like you can't, you're not paying attention to any of that outside stuff, even though it's literally like 10 feet away from you. Yeah.
Wow, that's crazy. Yeah, I remember because I watched the like the Imagineering story, I think it's called, on Disney Plus, which I love all of that stuff and everything. And they were talking about, how they were making Disneyland. And I think that was one thing that they wanted to like consider was, when they're in the park, they didn't want people to look over and see, I don't know if it was like the telephone lines or whatever it was and stuff. They kind of wanted to make it feel a little bit more secluded, or, like you weren't, like you said, right by a highway. So
yeah. And with Disney California Adventure, when you get over to like the Pixar Pier area, you can kind of see a little bit outside of the park, and it was just like there was no way for them to avoid it. Like you'll see some hotels, you'll see some other things. So you'll see things like in that park that are like outside, but in Disneyland, I don't think there's really a point in it that you can really see outside or see what's going on outside, which I think is kind of cool, because then you're truly like in the Disney bubble, but the Disney bubble starts basically right when you enter the gate.
Gotcha. Yeah, I gotcha. No, that's great. That's awesome. Well, the next question I have kind of goes in with a question that I got from the Two Broke Mice on Instagram. They were asking, well, the question I had were, what are some of the highlights of each park? But going on to their question is, if somebody's going to Disneyland for the first time, what are things that they have to see and do?
Yeah. Do you want to start, or do you want me to?
I don't know. I guess like it would be split between, have you been to Walt Disney World or have you not? So assuming that people have been to Walt Disney World, then a lot of the rides that we have, they are pretty similar. So some of them you might want to go on just because they're your favorites and such. But we do have a couple things that I think are pretty unique to us that I would suggest. So I guess this is more going into the rides thing, just because I'm obsessed with the rides. But we have like we have Cars Land, we had like the Frozen show.
Like the Imagineers, like it's like a picture perfect land.
But yeah, I think it was like the greatest like themed land like before they came up with
But I think the other cool thing with it is that there's so many. I think my favorite thing is if you come out here is trying things that you see in Walt Disney World too, and comparing them, like our Big Thunder Mountain versus your Big Thunder Mountain. But then if you come during, I don't want to say necessarily holiday time, but like around from Halloween all the way through holidays, our Haunted Mansion actually transforms. So our Haunted Mansion gets a Nightmare Before Christmas overlay. So it makes it kind of a unique experience. But there's a lot of little similarities, but there's a lot of things like she was saying that make us unique. Like we have Mickey's Toontown, which I know is not in Florida. And Mickey's Toontown, for the young and young at heart, it's super fun because you basically can run around and touch everything and push buttons and hope and see what happens. It's a lot of fun. There's so many interesting things and there's so many unique things here, but also there's those similarities that everyone loves. The one thing I wish we had out here was the People Mover, because we do not have that. You'll see the track for it. We used to have it, but we don't have it.
I also think a lot about talking about how it is smaller. However, you shouldn't you should plan for probably 3 days to spend and actually get to do everything that you want to do. Just because trying to push that all into one day, it's not going to work well. So you can get your top 5 done, but to really experience the entire park, you should spend more time.
Gotcha. No, I like because I'm a huge Haunted Mansion fan. So that's one thing that I would definitely like to see. And I like what you said, especially was for the things that both parks do have, kind of go and see what are the similarities, and stuff, and kind of compare the two. But also I know you guys, and we'll get into it on another question, but you guys have a lot of rides and attractions that we don't have here in Walt Disney World. So just balancing the two, see what you have seen before, but that it's a little different, but also see what we don't have here in Disney World. So I think that's really neat.
Yeah, I love contrasting things. Another big one to compare and contrast, Fantasmic. So Fantasmic in Walt Disney World, you are in a amphitheater in Hollywood Studios. Out here, it happens right on the rivers of America in the middle of the park. And I might be biased, but I think ours is better. However, that doesn't discount the two, because Fantasmic is hands down one of the best shows Disney's created on both West and East Coast. But it's unique seeing it. Literally, you'll get off of the Haunted Mansion, and then here's a pirate ship floating by with a whole show, and it's amazing.
Wow. Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, we can let's talk about that too a little bit. Is the fireworks shows, I guess, do they do similar? Do they project things on the castle? Can they do that, or does it look differently?
We just started doing that.
I think they're in the 60th.
Yes, the 60th I think was the.
Yeah.
I actually shouldn't say that because that's when I moved here, so I don't know what they did before that. They have been doing projections, and those shows are pretty great. We don't have a projection show before the fireworks, so it's just the fireworks show.
Our projections though is they project it on the castle, but we also project it all the way down Main Street, and then we have a ride here, which we'll get into the rides in a bit, but the Matterhorn, Bob said, where it's a gigantic Matterhorn mountain, and they project on that as well. So you have projections kind of 360 around you.
Wow, that's awesome. That's so cool. And they Mike here was asking, do they do a typical, do they have a show that they do? Do they do Happily Ever After?
So we don't necessarily do Happily Ever After, but we have, gosh, what was the fireworks show that we had right before this? It was,
I don't know. A lot of the songs are used in a lot of the different things. So
Yeah.
like not Happily Ever After, but the Celebrate the Magic, I think was the
Yeah, I
show
think that
before
was
Happily
it,
Ever.
yeah.
So that
Oh.
same music was then used in our World of Color show.
Yeah.
And so like
cool.
there's a lot of like they have a lot of mixing, and like the same music from Wishes was used in our fireworks show. Over here. So they mix and match a lot of that stuff. But over at Disneyland, they just do the fireworks show, which has projection. They don't have like a projection show and then fireworks.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Entertainment. Over in Disney California Adventure, they don't do fireworks there.
Mm-hmm.
However, they do the World of Color show. So for those that are familiar with like the Bellagio fountains in Vegas, it's like that, but a Disney-fied version.
Okay.
But instead of just shooting water, they will project onto the water. So they,
similar to like Fantasmic.
Yeah, very similar to Fantasmic. Yeah.
So it's called
and it's very cool.
I can't remember what Rivers of Light or something at Animal Kingdom. I can't remember what the name of it's called, but I think they do some type of like water projection show. I can't remember the name of it right now. But
I haven't seen Rivers of Light, but I want to. I've seen videos, but I haven't seen it in person. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's like a big, huge, grand Disney water, lights, fire, everything.
Wow.
It will blow you away with what Disney can do with literally just water and like projections. It's amazing.
Wow. That's awesome.
One of the things to plan for too is that during summer, this might not be true, but for the most part, we only do fireworks on weekends. So that's the plan for it. So if you come on like a Tuesday, you might not get fireworks. So be careful.
And also, we do cancel our fireworks from time to time. So even if you do come on a weekend, if the wind is usually what stops it. But if the wind gets too like intense, they will cancel it. They'll still do like the projection show for you, but just know, like, because we don't want people to get heartbroken, don't bank everything on the fireworks happening, because they do cancel a lot. But when they do go, it is amazing.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, that's interesting. Because Disney's like every night a firework or some show. So it's a good thing.
We're delayed like 2 hours, but we'll still do it.
Yeah. Gotcha. Oh, well, that's good to know and everything. So let's get back to the rides and the attractions that Disney World or Disneyland and California Adventure both have. So they have, I know we talked about like the Haunted Mansion, so that's similar, obviously. And then the Matterhorn, I assume, is a little bit similar to Everest, or is it similar like that, or is it different?
So the Matterhorn is one of my favorite rides. It's not really similar to much. So the mountain portion of it kind of will remind you of Everest, but at the same time, it's a single tubular roller coaster type thing. So the seats are very similar to the seats you would have on Space Mountain. Yeah, you're basically on a bobsled. But you're basically on a bobsled going down the mountain. But the cool thing is, like, it wasn't one of the original rides, but it's a very older ride. So because that, it has like unique feel when you're going around the turns, but it's so fun.
Gotcha. Yeah. Two Broke Mice here, they're saying it's a lot rougher. So so I can see how it could be a little bit more rough. So But the thing that I think that personally I'd really like to go to California Adventure, if I'm understanding right, because they have the Incredibles land or whatever they have incredible stuff. And then I really, really want to see Cars Land. That's something that I would really like to go see.
That one's really cool because like they like as soon as you walk up, like it really feels like you're in the middle of the movie, and like you actually are there. They get down some like pretty like some details and stuff like from the movie in there that are pretty fun too. Like there's a lot of Easter eggs from the movie that are in the land.
Yeah, she was pointing out last time we were in there, which I didn't even know it was there until she pointed out like a couple months ago, but like the last time we were in there. Like inside of the Cozy Cone Motel, there's a Easter egg kind of paying tribute to a little bit of Toy Story, where it has like a traffic cone, but then like the traffic cone's lifted a little bit and there's like Buzz Lightyear underneath it. It's kind of cute.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. That's cute. Yeah, I love the the hidden Disney or hidden details and everything. Like I just love all of that. I think it's so cool. I love looking for that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, that's good to know. I'm going to keep an eye on that if I head over there sometime. That's great. So we have
a
go ahead.
dance party every night too. So
yeah, I forgot about the dance party.
Every night, like at dusk, like so everything starts getting darker, and that's when they turn on like all of the neon, and it like lights up the entire thing, and then everybody has like a party. It's really fun. So that's a good thing they try and hit.
And ask the cast members when you get there too, like what time they're doing it at, because it does vary depending on the time of the year, like daylight savings, not daylight savings, and all that. But it's really cool because they play the same song from the Cars movie where it when lightning was turning on all the neon, and it's like a 5-minute dance party. It's super fun.
That's awesome. That's really cute. Oh, that's fun. So there's definitely some different things to see over there that we don't necessarily do or that are a little bit different. So that's really cool. That's fun to look forward to. I like that.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I love it.
That's great. Well, that's cool. I'm excited to, like I said, whenever I get over there one day, because it's on my bucket list. All the Disney parks are on my bucket list, whether I get to all of them or not, they're on there. So, all right. Well, we've got an interesting.
If you come out here.
Yes, I'm definitely going to let you guys know because, like I said, I need tour guides. I need to know, the ins and outs of Disneyland. So that'll be great. That's awesome. Well, we've got an interesting question here from Lorna. Okay, so she's saying they're building a completely new 3.5 billion pounds, if that's what it is, theme park in the UK. But I don't think it will affect tourism in the US from the UK because of the weather and Disney atmosphere. What do you think?
When it comes to
what theme park are they building? This is new news. I want to know more about. I gotta look.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, what is it? That's awesome.
We definitely need to look it up. But to answer the question, I don't think it's going to affect Disneyland, because the unique thing with Disneyland and even Walt Disney World is the sheer uniqueness of them. So a lot of people come out to Disneyland because it's the original park, and you'll have a different feeling when you walk into Disneyland versus like the Magic Kingdom, and it's a good different for both of them. But I think the fact that it's the original one will always bring tourists here. But also we have a lot of locals that come to Disneyland since we're like right off the side of the street. But same thing for like Disney World is I don't think it's going to affect it, because when it comes to Disney World, it's like they are like a mega complex of like everything. So I definitely want to look into what this park is, because I would probably visit this park. But I don't think it's going to affect business out here. I think it'll just maybe bring more clientele or might bring the same number. I don't know if it'll affect it though.
Yeah, definitely. No, that's interesting. Yeah, I agree. I think it would be, like you said, I mean, people are always going to want to come over to see the original Disneyland, or, what we have, or that what you guys have that other parks don't have. So, but if anything, maybe that would just bring more traffic to the UK. I mean, another park to go visit. Like, there's another one to my list. So,
yeah. Well, and the other bonus too is if you get one in the UK, you're right next to Disneyland Paris. So it's like, so it may even help out business over there. I don't know what the business is like over there, 'cause we haven't been, but we're hopefully, if everything gets a little safer, we're going next year. But yeah, that'll be cool.
That's awesome. And that's interesting. Lorna said here that I think farther up in the comments, she was saying that in the UK, they really promote Walt Disney World, but they don't necessarily talk a ton about Disneyland, which I think is actually kind of interesting. So that was an interesting comment that I didn't really know about, but.
We'll be watching TV and there'll be an ad for Walt Disney World on it. We're just like, but the other one's like down the street.
So, all right. So we talked about the rides. So another question that Two Broke Mice had up here was another one that I had on my list. I'm trying to find it here to bring it up. But they were talking about, here we go. The ticket options. So how I know here in Florida, or what they used to do was you could do a park hopper or a single day pass. What kind of ticket options do you guys have over there?
Yes, we have a few different ticket options. Obviously, the first one is annual pass holder. If you're an annual pass holder, you can get in. There is one annual pass that does go work for both Disneyland and Disney World. I don't know the price for that one, but I know It's very hard to find on the website, but there is one. For regular tickets, we have single day tickets all the way up to I think it's 5 days when it caps out. But you do have to have a ticket for Disneyland and Disney California Adventure. But you have a park hopper option that you can do as well. And the cool thing about the park hopper is, since the parks are like 100 feet apart from each other, you can quite literally, like, if one park is busy, hop out, walk over to the other one, and hop in. I mean, the park hoppers, what, $50 more, $40 more? It's really not. It's not a huge difference, but it's 100% worth it, because you don't have to worry about like when you go to like Magic Kingdom, you're not sure if it's like going to be busy, but once you're there, it's like, okay, do you want to commit to changing parks? At Disneyland, it's like, okay, if Disneyland is busy, just hop over to the other park and you're good.
No, that's awesome. No, I like that. So it's kind of I think maybe Universal does kind of the same thing. Like, you could get a single day pass, or, if you want to go to both of them, which I like what you said, you might as well just pay up and have that flexibility to go back and forth, I think would be good.
Yeah. And it's not that bad of a price for the price difference of it. So I like it. And park hopping, it's so nice when the parks are right there.
Yeah.
Sure. Also, like if you're going to be here multiple days, park hopper makes sense, because then you're like, oh, well, I wanted to go try this thing, but the line was too long before. Now let's go back over here, that type of thing.
If you're very limited on time, don't do the park hopper. Like, if you're only here like 2 days, spend like 1 full day in Disney California Adventure, 1 full day in Disneyland. But if you give yourself like minimum of 3 days, get that park hopper and just bounce back and forth.
Yeah. Gotcha. Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
No, that's great. Okay, so that's all definitely good to know and everything. And one thing that I wanted to talk about before we get into some other questions that I have was your downtown Disney. So is it kind of the same vibe or same feel as Disney Springs that we have here? And where is that located at?
Yeah.
So downtown Disney is also within walking distance. If you stay at one of the Disney hotels, you have to walk through downtown Disney to get to the parks. Okay. But it's all within that block radius. It's a very big block, but it's all like that 1 block radius. And so it's more, I guess, kind of like similar to more of like a city walk as opposed to a downtown Disney. It's really just it's 1 road down, and they have shops and they have restaurants and that type of thing, but it's not quite as big of like a complex, I guess, that Disney Springs is. So they have, like the World of Disney and a couple small Disney shops. They have a lot of other like vendor type shops that are available, a couple sit down restaurants, but mostly you can like get from one end to the other in like 15 minutes and have seen everything that's there.
Gotcha. Okay, so I kind of get a picture of it. Like if you said like city walk and stuff, and I love Disney Springs, I love visiting it, but I think just having everything all together, like I love city walk because you can see, the rides happening, or you can see, if there's a show or something going on. I think that it's a really neat atmosphere. So that's really neat. That's all together.
I went to Disney Springs in Florida. I got lost completely. And somehow I kept like following a pathway, and somehow I wound up at the Cirque du Soleil show, which was great because I'm like, that looks cool. But I was too late to like try to get into the show. Yeah. So then at that point, I'm like, I have no idea where I'm at. And I realized I was only like maybe like a couple steps away from where I needed to be. So
exactly. Yeah, Disney Springs is definitely, I remember the first time I went there, it's definitely bigger than I was anticipating. And the people that were telling me like, to go or whatnot, like they were saying there's like a dining parking garage and then like a shops parking garage, or what you can park it either. But it's just like, what are you going there for? Like, how can you walk the least, So that's great. Okay, that's awesome. So the next questions we have some coming in here, but another question I had on my list were the Disney resorts. So I wanted to talk about some of the ones that you have over there, but Mike here is asking, when you stay at a Disneyland hotel, is it the same atmosphere as a Walt Disney World resort is? Or what do you think personally? I'm assuming you guys have stayed at a Disney World resort?
So Well, I stayed at Disneyland Hotel. Matthew used to work at Paradise Pier Hotel, and actually, he's worked at all of them.
Yeah.
So he's really the better person to answer this. So I don't know why I started.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna say, off the top of my head, they are very different. Well, Disney World resorts feel like like a resort, big, huge, nice theme, that type of thing. Disneyland Hotel is pretty themed. It's not as themed as I think most of the Walt Disney World resorts are. You take the rest of this question. I don't know.
Not to discount the
what are some of the resort options too?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, I interrupted you. I was just going to ask if some of them were, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, not to discount the Disney hotels here because they are great. They each have their own unique. Yeah. Oh, yeah. So we have 3 hotels. Sorry, that would be better. So we have 3 hotels. We have Disney's Paradise Pier Hotel, Disney's Grand Californian Hotel and Spa, and the Disneyland Hotel. So what makes each of them unique is Disney's Paradise Pier Hotel. It reminds me a lot of, I want to say like kind of like Pop Century, maybe a little Art of Animation, just not as like big like things outside of it, but like the feel of the rooms kind of make me feel like those. The Disneyland Hotel has one of my favorite features in any hotel room, which is the headboards. So the headboard room, you will flip a switch and it'll start singing When You Wish Upon a Star. And it will shoot fireworks off on the headboards. It's really cute. Disney's Grand California Hotel and Spa, if you love the Wilderness Lodge, it's a kind of a smaller version of the Wilderness Lodge.
Gotcha.
But yeah, they're all 3 of the hotels, they have it is a different feel because you're kind of like at Disney World, they are big resorts. And these ones here are still resorts, but in Florida, I think, so I know we stayed at Port Orleans Riverside, and they had in just one building the same number of rooms we have in like one hotel. So it's like our hotels are a lot smaller. And I say that lightly because we do have big hotels, but I think the Disneyland Hotel has around like 1,000 rooms. The Disney's Paradise Pier Hotel is the smallest at like 400, and then Disney's Grand California Hotel and Spa has I think like 1,200. So they're big hotels, but they're not as big as Florida, where you're getting like 5,000 to 7,000 rooms.
Gotcha. That makes sense. Okay. Yeah, and then over at the Tuberk Mice channel, they have a question here. The DVC Hotel, is it being attached to the Disneyland Hotel? Do you know about that?
Yeah, so I am super excited for the DVC Hotel or tower to come in. But yes, it is going to be attached to the Disneyland Hotel. So how DVC is worked out here, because we currently have one at Disney's Grand California Hotel and Spa, and it's kind of like a wing. So you come into the hotel, you check in at the normal check-in spot, but then there's like an entire wing off by itself that is the DVC part of Disney's Grand California Hotel and Spa. At the Disneyland Hotel, right now it's kind of like a C shape, and basically they're putting the tower like right here, so it's going to be a complete circle when it's done, which is kind of cool.
Awesome. Okay. So that's neat. Yeah, I had the Tuberk Mice on for a live stream before too, learning about the DVC and everything. I'm assuming this is still the Disney Vacation Club. They're adding like a tower or like a specified place for them. Is that what it is?
Yeah. I think it's in addition to the Disneyland Hotel. So now they're going to have their own little space. We got to figure out what it is though, because the Disneyland Hotel right now has 3 towers. We have the Fantasy Tower, the Adventureland Tower, and the Frontierland Tower.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
I'm curious to see what they're going to do for the next one.
Yeah, I'm excited because like I want them to add more DVC resorts out here, because in Florida, I mean, you got like hotel galore, especially with DVC ones, and DVC rooms are incredible because it's literally like you're living in it, which is amazing. I just hope that we get more, like this is the start of more. So hopefully. Finding the safe to fit one is hard, but hopefully.
That's awesome. That's sweet. Well, that's great. And we have another question here from Lorna, which I think is an interesting one. Is the weather similar to Florida, and what about hurricanes and lightning?
Well, I can I can definitely tell you there are no hurricanes in California.
Mhm.
The unique thing with the climate for the water out here, and this is how, knock on wood, that we don't get a hurricane. But right where like the Mexico California border happens in the ocean, the water temperature actually like changes a little bit. So
Mm.
usually the most we'll get is a tropical storm, but we won't get a hurricane. But
also it rains 2 days.
yeah, it rains like 2 days a year out here.
Yeah.
It can get very hot, but not hot like Florida. Like
Mm.
we have like no humidity.
Yeah.
Well, compared to Florida, we have no humidity. We have humidity. It's just like it rains like twice a year. And the weather tends to be relatively nice most of the year. It's just a matter of just hope that you don't come on that one day a year. It's very hard to tell when we get bad weather.
So we'll get like 110 degree weather, or we'll have like 60-degree weather. But usually you can tell what it's going to be ahead of time, so you can plan ahead. There's not really any surprises.
Yeah, and when it's like 110 degrees here, it feels like 110. It's not like Florida, where when Florida's 110, it feels like 150. So there is that pro and con with it, but yeah, we have usually relatively nice weather.
Gotcha. And of course, the two broke mice here, they're saying, but the ground moves like earthquakes or whatnot. So,
yeah.
That's definitely one thing that you have to think about when coming here.
Yeah, the earthquakes.
Yeah, we get used to them.
Yeah,
I've never experienced
one. Yeah, it's interesting. Like the first time you feel one can be a little scary, but after that, you kind of just roll with it. Like literally.
It's funny.
That's so
funny.
Yeah,
they're like, oh, Californians and earthquakes, they don't even care anymore. But every time one happens, everybody freaks out.
Yeah.
That's so funny. Yeah, so we have hurricanes, you guys have earthquakes. So that's crazy.
And the big difference is a hurricane. Yeah, the big difference is a hurricane, you at least know it's coming. Earthquakes, you don't really know. You just get surprised.
Yep, exactly. That's all a part of the fun, though, I guess.
It is.
Oh, I love it. On the roller coaster.
Geez, that would just add to the thrill, I guess.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's great. Well, my next question that I have on my list here might be a quick one, but I wanted to talk about the transportation for that Disneyland offers. Obviously, all the parks are kind of close to each other, so you don't necessarily need to use like the Skyliner or the monorail, maybe, I'm assuming. But you mentioned, I think earlier, they had a Magical Express type thing to get from the airport, or
Yeah, so we used to have the Disneyland Express that did get discontinued. So right now to get from the airport, it's basically Uber, Lyft, or rent a car. But honestly, unless you're planning on going to like Universal Studios or another theme park, you don't really need one. But the cool thing is there is a car rental place on property. So if you did need to rent a car, even for just the day, you can pretty much rent one from the Disney hotels and just drive to one of the nearby parks. Once you're on property, even if you don't stay at one of the 3 Disney hotels, there are 50 Good Neighbor hotels. And so the Good Neighbor hotels, there are some that are literally right outside of the park gates.
Oh, wow, yeah.
And some of them provide shuttles to the parks. Some of them are walkable distance where you can just literally just walk 2 feet and you're at the parks. So most of the stuff here is walkable. It's just getting from the airport to Disneyland can be a little fun, but as long as you have an Uber, Lyft, or taxi, it's not too bad.
Gotcha. No, that makes sense. So that's good. Yeah, I like what you had to say. Like once you're there, and it seems pretty easy. You're kind of in another Disneyland bubble. You can kind of just walk all around, which I think is pretty convenient.
Yeah.
Yeah, we do have a monorail, but what's funny is that it's more considered a ride as opposed to transportation. There's so one end of it is in downtown Disney, like right next to Disneyland Hotel, and the other end is in the park. And so to get onto the monorail, you have to show a park ticket, but you can just get on the monorail and then ride on into Tomorrowland. Or you can walk through downtown Disney. But I just think it's kind of funny that it's like it's a ride as opposed to like in Florida where you're like, no, this is how we get to the park.
And then like to add on to that too, if you park at the so if you like come for the day and if you do bring a vehicle, you can park at the like Mickey and Friends parking garage that they have. And from there they do have like a tram that will take you to the front of the park, or you can walk. The cool thing is where it's located, honestly, you can walk if you need to, but you can do either. Kind of nice.
Gotcha.
There's a lot of walking though here.
Hey, that's the name of Disney. You know, you definitely get your exercise when you're there. That's great. So I'm assuming like the monorail is kind of like, I think you guys have been to Universal. Is it kind of like Hogwarts, like the train, like the Magical Express, or what is it called? The Hogwarts.
Hogwarts Express.
Yes. Yeah. Is it kind of like that? Like where you go into the different lands?
It doesn't let you like. It's from downtown Disney into Disneyland, and those are like it's the only two stops.
Oh, okay.
But it does like go through Disneyland, and then it does like as it's riding, you go through the front of California Adventure and the Grand Californian Hotel, so you can see a lot of the stuff. So it's a nice tour. But
you see the like small glimpses of the backstage area. And what's really cool, one of my favorite times to do it is if you time it perfectly, and you have to time it absolutely perfectly, which obviously it's very hard to do that. You can do it while the parade is coming off of the like backstage area, which is really cool because it goes right by it, and you can see all the parade performers like prepping, getting ready. Like the gate is closed, and you just see everyone like ready to go, and it's kind of a cool way to see it.
That's awesome. That's kind of a cool little like behind the scenes thing, or insider thing to know about. That would be really neat to see.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's great. Okay, well that covers that. But now we're going to move on to another thing that I had a question about. But Mike here is also asking about the restaurants in the parks. Are they the same as Walt Disney World, or are they different?
Sort of. So it just depends on what you're interested in, because like the restaurants here, I mean, we have your traditional like quick service ones where you can get your churros, which I could be biased. The churros out here are better than the ones in Florida, but they also do have some good sit downs. So there are so in both of the parks, I think it's hard to pick like exact favorites. There's a lot more sit down options in like Magic Kingdom than there are in Disneyland.
Blue Bayou.
Blue Bayou. Yeah.
Blue Bayou is a fancier sit down restaurant, so it's like something that like we save up to go to. It's not like everyday type thing. It reminds me a lot of the restaurant that's in Mexico, but basically it is a ride inside it's a restaurant inside the Pirates of the Caribbean ride. So you sit down and you're like at like a house in the bayou, and it's dark. You can like see lightning bugs.
The food is amazing there, and they have so many different things from that to like if you want to have like a more outdoor version of like their food, they have Cafe Orleans, which is kind of like a sit down. It's delicious. Over in Disney California Adventure, so there's not a lot of sit down places in Disney California Adventure. I think there's only two. No, three. There's Carthay Circle, which it's themed after the Carthay Circle Theater, which was filmed,
Snow White premiered.
Yeah, Snow White premiered. I was losing train of thought of what I was trying to say, but Snow White premiered in Carthay Circle Theater, so they made a restaurant that's Carthay Circle Restaurant.
Oh, cool.
So you see a lot of old school Snow White merchandise in there. Not merchandise, like pictures and history things in there. They have a outdoor restaurant that's called the Wine Country Trattoria. If you love Italian food, I love it because it's like right in the heart of everything, but you're kind of also away from everything because you don't see all the hustle and bustle going around you, but it's also like right in the middle of it all. And then there is, oh gosh, I'm drawing blank on the last one. On the pier, Lamplight Lounge. That was it. Lamplight Lounge. Personally, this is just a personal preference. A lot of people do enjoy it. It's not my favorite. But it's good. It's a great restaurant. It's right on Pixar Pier. The views are absolutely phenomenal. The drinks are great. I'm not a fan of the food. But that's just personal preference.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. So yeah, it definitely sounds like there's some different options or some similar ones, which is really neat another thing to check out and add to your list.
Yeah. Yeah. And in Disney California Adventure, I usually go with a lot of more like quick service type things because they have a lot of good quick service places with a lot of good places to sit. So it's like if you wanted to go more quick service, there's a lot of fun options.
Gotcha. Well, that's good to know. Like I said, another thing to add, another thing to look at when you go.
Yes.
That's awesome. So Lorna has another question here, which is another thing that I wanted to get into is like cost between, I guess, like Disney World and Disneyland. But so how does the cost and variety of food, which you talked about a little bit, and the shops vary outside and inside the parks?
Yeah. So the unique thing with Disneyland being, again, like right in the city of Anaheim, if you exit those gates, you will have a lot of like local shops and chains. So you'll have everything from like McDonald's, Panera Bread, to like a pizza press and all kinds of things literally right outside of the gates. So those ones will be a little more cost effective than the ones inside the park. However, it just comes down to, do you want to exit security and come back in? But they do have, because we're right in the middle of Anaheim, they have a lot of food options both in Disneyland, in Downtown Disney, and outside the park. The cool thing with Downtown Disney is since most of them are like, they're not technically Disney-owned businesses, they can set their own prices. So you can find some good prices at those places too. So
gotcha. Yeah, definitely. And that was another thing that I wanted to ask is how does the cost of like Disneyland, merchandise, food, whatever you call it, how does that compare to Disney World? Is it kind of like similar pricing, or like is merchandise the same price, or is there like an upcharge, or how does that work?
Right now, I want to say that they're comparable.
Yeah. I think they're the same. I think it's about the same when it comes to food and merchandise prices. I think the only exception are like when you dine at like the super fancy place like Blue Bayou. I know she mentioned it, but 100%, if you can get into the Blue Bayou, it will be one of the best meals you've had.
Gotcha.
It's an incredible meal, but it also is.
That's not like a.
Yeah, it's a very pricey meal, but it's totally worth it.
Gotcha.
I think one of the things that are interesting too, like the merchandise, it's a lot of like the same type of merchandise, just it says Disneyland instead of Walt Disney World. But a lot of the designs are the same, which is nice because like sometimes I'll see something that like opens up in Florida and I'll be like, oh my gosh, I want that, and then like. Here like a week later, so I'm like, okay, never mind, we're good. I don't have to travel.
Yeah, no, I got you. Yeah, all the park specific stuff is like, oh, come on, like I kind of wanted that, but gives you an excuse to go over there. So, gotcha. All right, and then we had another, I guess, a little quick question here from Lorna. But is there a charge for Disney parking at Disneyland?
Yeah, there is. So I think right now it's $25 for standard parking and $35 for preferred parking. The honest thing is, again, my personal opinion, the parking lots are not huge. So honestly, you don't need the preferred parking unless you do want to save about like 30 steps. But for hotel parking as well, they do charge. It's the same cost, $25 to self-park your vehicle, $35 a night to valet park.
Gotcha.
Yeah. The only exception to that is if you book a room as a Disney Vacation Club room, then self-parking is free.
Oh, awesome. Okay. That's awesome. And she asked here another question. Can you book parking, or is it something that whenever you just show up, you pay like whichever one you want to choose?
Yes. You would actually pay that at the hotel itself. So you don't actually have to make a decision until you do arrive. And with how close the hotels are to the theme parks, if you're staying at one of the Disney hotels, you don't have to worry about the theme park parking at all when you get there because everything's walkable.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, that's awesome. That's great. Yeah, she was saying, yikes to the parking. I know that's the only bad thing. Unless if you're a pass holder, do you get free parking or do you still have to pay for it?
So at the hotels, you do not.
Okay.
At the like Mickey and Friends parking garage, like the day parking, you do if you have it like included in your pass. Not all. I don't think all the passes included. Yeah, I think it's some of them do. Not all of them do.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah, that parking, that's the only bad thing about it. I'm happy because as an annual pass holder, it's free parking, but that parking can definitely get you. So incorporate that into your Disney budget whenever you're planning your trip. Oh gosh. All right. So we are coming up on the end of some of our questions here. So if anybody has any last minute questions, feel free to put them in the chat. But Melinda here has one. Can you get food delivered from restaurants off property to your room?
Yeah. Yes. So the only rule for security reasons is they can't technically deliver it directly to your room, so you just have to meet them in the lobby. So ultimately and most of the delivery places around there know, even like the DoorDashers and all them, and they'll just wait in the hotel lobby for you and just call you, and then you just have to walk down and go get it. But yeah, you can get anything. And there's a lot of restaurants nearby that deliver, and most of the front desk people, because we're in like the heart of Anaheim, they can give you numbers for all the places to deliver to.
Wow, that's awesome. That's super convenient then. That's awesome. That'd be great. That's perfect.
Yeah.
All right. And then the last question that I had on my list personally, and like I said, if anybody else has anything else they want to ask, go ahead and put it in the chat here. We'll ask Mathew and Lauren. But the last thing that I had was employment options, if you will. Like if you want to work at Disney, what does that look like? And most specifically, like, do they offer the Disney College program, or like, I know Epcot has like an international program. Like, do you guys have the same or similar things as that?
I'll start with that one. We don't have an international program here. We do have the college program. And so they have, it's a bit of a smaller program just because, our cast, like, we don't have as many employees over here, but we have a college program, apply the same way that you do for Walt Disney World. And then all of the college program people can live they give you the option to live in an apartment complex that's about 10 minutes north of the park.
Okay.
And then you can just take it's Anaheim buses to work if you don't have transportation. So that's pretty nice. But yeah, they get put everywhere. He's worked with a couple college program people.
Yeah, and college program kids are amazing because with where their houses are located, it's in like the heart of Anaheim. So it's surrounded by so many wonderful things. So if you do the college program out here, it's definitely worthwhile because you're going to be outside the Disney bubble where you're living, but you're also right in the heart of the city with so many things around you.
I also want to put in a plug for the professional internships because that's how I started. So it's similar to the college program in that it's only for a set amount of time, but it's specific to whatever you're studying in school. So that's also very fun.
That's awesome. Yeah, I know on another live stream that I talked about the Disney College program with a friend of mine. And that's one thing that I wish I knew about whenever, I was in college or younger is, the opportunity to work in the parks or even like an internship, like you said, like wish I would have known about it. But I think it's an awesome opportunity to take advantage of. So that's sweet. That's awesome you guys have.
And honestly, being a cast member is probably one of the coolest things ever. Because I think, like, aside from Disney being one of the best companies to work for, it truly, like, the things that they do are amazing. So I think one of the biggest things that surprised me are like cast exclusive events that happen before or after the park opens or closes, which usually means like midnight or like 4 in the morning. But it's like, but they're so unique. Like some of my favorite ones. So before Star Wars Galaxy's Edge opened to the public, we actually got a preview like in the middle of the day for like 4 hours. They took our phones and we couldn't take pictures. But we got to basically enjoy it, which was very cool to see. They have an annual thing, obviously not this year, but an annual thing for the canoe races where in the morning before the park opens, every like July area, cast members will hop in the canoes in the rivers of America and race them around the river. It's little things like that that like make it where it's more than a job. It's not it's not a normal like 9 to 5 job. It's a like, yes, you're going to be working, and yes, you may have good days, you may have bad days, but at the end of the day, I think these opportunities that they give us are phenomenal, and I think that's why this is the best company to work for.
Definitely. No, for sure. I know that that all makes me, obviously want that opportunity to be able to work there and see. I'd love to see like the behind the scenes things, or, just to have that feel to work in the park. So I definitely agree with all of that. I think Disney does a great job with their employment options and being able to work there for sure. That's great. And then Lorna here, she just asked a quick question here. She'd love to live near Disney Park one day or for like a year or two. And are there any options for that? So it sounds like maybe like a cast member opportunity or job would maybe be a good thing for her to take advantage of.
Yeah,
I think it's like any company. Like you have a couple of people who work there for like 6 months, a year or two, and then you have people who have been working there for 60 years. So it's pretty cool to see like the wide range of everything.
Yeah, and the cool thing with Disneyland being right in the heart of Anaheim, there are houses and apartments like literally completely everywhere. Like you won't have a hard time finding one. It's just finding one within whatever your budget is that you're looking for and whatever your style is for it, because they have some that literally have like bigger rooms but also cost more, and then they have some that are smaller. And honestly, there's so many options that you will definitely be able to find something.
Gotcha. No, that's awesome. That's great. Yeah. So something to think about whenever Disneyland opens up again, Lorna.
Yeah.
But she also is asking here, is the general area safe around the outside of the park?
Yeah, I think like I've never had a problem on the outside of it. It's pretty safe around it, but because I know the city of Anaheim takes very good care of it, but there's also a lot of like people patrolling it. So, but yeah,
I'm also scared of cat. Like it's a city, so I wouldn't walk around by myself at night.
Yeah,
but I'll walk around with other people.
But yeah, it's not a. I don't think it's very scary. That's my personal opinion too.
That's just me at night, though.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. But generally, yes.
Yeah. Gotcha. No, that makes sense for sure. Yeah, that's something that I wouldn't have even thought of. So that's a good question for sure. And then Mike here has just another little question. He's asking, is the Roger Rabbit ride in Toontown still?
Yeah, it is.
Oh, I love that ride so much, Mike. Oh man, it's amazing. Yeah, that ride is still there. They're actually adding a ride in Toontown too.
Yeah, so we're gonna match the Mickey's Runaway Railway. But Roger Rabbit, super fun. That one you go through on the track, but you can also spin at the same time.
Yeah, it's so fun. It's literally like if the teacups and like a normal dark ride meets the teacups, because you're just spinning the entire time. It's so fun.
Wow, that sounds awesome. Dang, well, I'm going to have to go on and like find all these YouTube channels and watch all these vlogs of all the rides. And I know Lorna and everybody here was mentioning, other parks to go and look at. So some YouTubers are going to be getting a lot of views and watch time from me coming up. So that way I can see what the parks look like and what the rides look like. That's awesome. Okay, so Lorna we'll ask one last question here. We're going over a little bit, but you guys have asked great questions tonight, so thanks for that. But she's saying, would you recommend a really cool restaurant that a visitor must go to? Which I think you said was the Bayou one, or what did you said it was?
Yeah, that was my recommendation.
Yeah,
I don't know if you have any.
Well, honestly, so when it comes to on property, Blue Bayou, I would definitely add for her. If you're looking for a unique culinary experience. Yeah, you know what I'm going to say. Unique culinary experience. Again, not super cheap, but again, it's incredible. It's over at the Napa Rose restaurant over in Disney's Grand Californian Hotel and Spa. They have a experience called the Chef's Counter, where quite literally you're sitting right where the chefs make the food, and the chef will come up to you and basically will give you a list of like all the meats they have and all the different foods they have, and be like, okay, is there anything that I just listed, like something you wouldn't like, and do you have any allergies? And then they'll be like, okay, cool, enjoy your meal. It will be a like 4 or 5 course meal that's a complete surprise. You won't know anything that's coming. You'll find out right when they place it in front of you, and they're like, "Here is a duck." Like it's it's very cool. It's not cheap. If you're looking for something more budget friendly, I love Pizza Press. I know it's not technically on Disney property, but it's located like right outside of Disney property, and I think I eat there way too often. But yeah, so Pizza Press, right off property, is one of my favorite ones. Another great thing is if you have a car with you, within drivable distance, if you go into the heart of Anaheim, so like 10 minutes, right over where the CPs live, there's the Anaheim Packing District, and it's if you have a car, you won't be able to get there without a car. But it has like 30 different restaurants kind of jammed into one building. It's basically like a gigantic food court, but not, if that makes sense. But that would be like those right around Disneyland. There's a lot of like good chains. There's a couple mom and pop shops, but good chains. If you go in deep into Anaheim, you'll hit like the really cool like mom and pop shops.
Gotcha. That's awesome. So definitely a lot of options or things to check out. So those were good to, since there are other options, to have maybe some at the top of your list to definitely go and check out. And Pete, or not Pete, I don't know why I said Pete, Mike, maybe because we were talking about Pete's Press, I think if that's what it's called. But Mike here is asking, do they have Mickey waffles, and do they taste the same as Walt Disney World Disney waffles?
So we do have Mickey waffles out here. I don't know if I've ever actually had a Mickey waffle in Walt Disney World, so I can't compare it. But they taste wonderful out here.
We have a character breakfast. It's called Goofy's Kitchen. So they have Mickey waffles, but they also have a peanut butter and jelly pizza.
Oh yeah!
Wow,
that's what I usually get.
It's life changing. If you've never had a peanut butter and jelly pizza, it will change your life forever.
I think I need to have a good one, because I had one in college, but that was a college version of a pizza. So maybe I need to have like an actual gourmet one. So I'll have to try it. Well, that's awesome. Well, thank you guys for, being here, Mathew and Lauren, and thanks everyone for all the fun questions and for watching tonight. I had a lot of fun and definitely learned a lot of what I need to add to my list whenever I make my trip out to Disneyland. So I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, thank you for having us, Megan, and also thank you to everyone for the questions. Those were fun questions.
Yeah, no, for sure, definitely. Some of them were like, I'm like, wow, they read my mind on some of them, but other ones were things. That's what I like about other people being on here, is like they ask questions that I didn't even think about. So it's cool to definitely get everybody's take on it and stuff. So definitely thanks everyone for the questions, and thanks for watching tonight, guys. And Matt and Lauren, thanks so much for tuning in and being on here. I really appreciate it. And definitely everybody who's watching, I linked their channel in the description below. So go ahead and head on over there if you're interested in seeing any vlogs from Disney or videos from the vineyards out there or Knott's Berry Farm. They've got a lot of fun stuff going on their channel. So definitely go and check them out after you watch this live stream. So thanks everybody for tuning in. Thanks, Matt and Laura. Thanks so much for being on here tonight. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
Yeah, no problem. All right. We'll talk to you guys later. Thanks everyone for watching.